Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am excited to share with you how I organize my computer supplies and go through my hard drive with you. And I appreciate your patience as I have gone back to work and my kids are at school. So things are taking a little bit longer as far as creating and getting videos up. But I'm excited to share this video with you, like I said, and let's go ahead and dive in to my hard drive and how I organize my computer. I have also gone ahead and made my mouse a very bright orange color with a yellow circle behind it, so I hope that helps. So in my hard drive, I have the creative projects, which is a separate folder, day in the life, separate folder, so that way I can gather the photos, vacations, and then of course the photo folders. And I only keep a couple years on my hard drives, and then I will slowly switch to a new hard drive. Now, I take each of my monthly folders and I put them into 3 different categories. So as you can see here, I'm going to add a new folder for September. That way I can have books, quotes, and screenshots, and then September creative, which is how I store all the photos of my projects. So each month has 3 folders, and that has worked really well for me for many years. And inside of each of the monthly folders, so inside of September, I will also add in the weeks, and I'm going to show you that in just a second with a July folder. I actually used to label each of my photos with the date and the year, but I have since fallen very behind on labeling my photos. But you can see here I have the year and then the week number and the dates that week corresponds with. And once I've uploaded all of my photos, I have them by the date and I just dump them into that week. And I went back to July of last year and you can see that I have everything divided up into the weeks, and so there's no daily folders. And I go into the weekly folder and you can see everything is labeled. So I believe this was the 1st through the 3rd. Everything's labeled, and the same thing with the rest of the weekly folders. But like I said, I got a little behind, so I am just taking all the daily folders and dumping them right into weekly, and that's just going to have to work for now. And I also generally take all the months and dump them into one yearly folder. Now we're going to go inside of my creative projects folder and I can show you more of how I use this to organize all of my different creative projects. I'm going to start with relabeling this folder that needed to be at the top, which was my digital layouts that needed to be printed. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of these layouts because I thought that would be fun. My intention is to print these through Blurb. And so this is a layout of my daughter at 1 year old. And I did a lot of pocket pages back then because I was on the design team for Digital Press, or the Digital Press. I think they've since closed their doors, which is really sad. But I have a wide variety of pages of my daughter, my son, our morning routine, everyday life, and I also did a lot of Project Life app pages in 2016. So it really is a huge range, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that needs to get busy on printing, whether it's digital or photos or whatever it is. We're always a little bit behind, right? And this photo is amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite family photos. It was like a family dog pile. I can't even imagine trying to do that now that my kids are so huge, but I loved that. I also did a mommy and kiddos pages every once in a while, and I loved bringing those photos together as well. So the next folder is the 2020-2021 week in the life, and I just put those together. I lost my 2020 week in the life, but I am going to go ahead and show you the 2020 Project Life that I'm working on, and this is inside of, it's a separate folder, and that way I keep each of these yearly projects separated by year, because to me that makes more sense. So it says 2022, or whatever the year is, 2020 project life storyline chapters. And then you can see I use my canvases to map out all of my projects, and I will show you the various canvases that I have in a little bit. And off to the right of my preview panel, you can see I'm showing you how some of these pages look. And I finally remembered to maximize the window, and that way you can see the pages better. I have a lot of 2020 mapped out. It's just a matter of printing, finding time, and just putting it together, I guess, is the end goal. Okay, so in 2022 projects, I have a few of them. There is Week in the Life, which I have a lot of the days all mapped out on the canvases, and I am going to go ahead and click on one so I can show you. To me, this is how I best work when I have a gigantic project like this. It's a 48 by 24 inch canvas, and I map out from the start of the day all the way to the end of the day. And right now I'm doing 2023 Week in the Life, but this is where I'm at with the 2022 Week in the Life. I have a lot of journaling in there. I have a lot of the templates that I used, and so it's started. Basically, it's started. I have lots of Week in the Lives started. I also have my 2022 Project Life, where I used a 6x12 album, and up at the top of this folder, I have the various canvases already pre-made, so that way when I get done cropping my photos, I can just drag it onto that pre-made canvas and then save it as the week. And I even just showed you week 27, which is a process video that I just did recently. I also have one last folder of like other miscellaneous projects, things that I've made for my kids, like posters for my son when he ran for treasurer, and also my daughter, and some Valentine's projects and Pokemon projects. And then the rest of the yearly folder that's 2022 projects is just everything else labeled by the date. So if it was the 7th of July, it would be 2022 dash 07 dash 07. And then I would just title the project. And I also have or now I've moved into 2023, and I have a story kit canvas for Ali Edwards, and those are again 48 by 24. This is the Seek story kit canvas, and I recently, a little while ago, shared how I completed or crushed that kit. This is the Unexpected story kit, and doing it this way allows me to really map out and think about my stories. I need to get back to doing this, but you know, it's all about time, right? But it is a helpful tool for me to use if I want to use it to map out my various projects. The next folder is my YouTube templates, and I don't think that I'm going to share those. I also have another 2023 project, which is my family stories album. I just recently shared the bound journal that I made for January, February, and March, and now I'm working on April. And I'm not sure, you guys, I have April almost done, and I may share that later this week, maybe on the weekend, and so that'll be fun to see. And then I might pause the project and work on a different year, because I really like working on a project life that is in the month. So I want to find a project life that is in September or August, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is my main yearly folder, 2023 projects, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my Photoshop Elements so that way I can show you the various tools and pieces that I have up at the top. So that way it'll help me when I go to create. The first canvas that I kind of briefly show you is this one here. It's a 20 by 15 inch canvas. It's the main one that I use when I'm working with traveler's notebook sizes and also outside the page protector projects. This is just a traveler's notebook page, and I can take it and drag it and drop it onto the 20 by 15, and then I can have more space to work with in case I want to add some extra pieces. This is another 25 by 15, and I already have some sizes ready and loaded up on this canvas already. It's the main two sizes again that I work with, which is traveler's notebook and then outside the page protector, and I can just delete the ones that I'm not going to use for that particular project and keep the ones that I will use. Next up is this really big canvas. That's the one I was telling you about, 48 by 24 inches, that I use all the time for large scale projects. And I make sure to change the color to gray, because if I'm working with photos that have a white background and the background of the project is white, it makes sense to have it that gray color. Even though it's not very pretty, it's not hard on my eyes to see the gray. So gray makes sense. I also at one point took the Citrus Twist page protectors that I had for traveler's notebooks, their albums, and I did all of the sizes on one canvas. That way I would have it as a tool if I needed it. So the next one that I'm going to show you is an 8.5 by 11 print sheet for 3 by 4 photos, and each of those photos has a white stroke black stroke behind it. That way I can see where to cut and trim, and I can just rotate that horizontal or vertical depending on what I need. Next up, I'm just kind of scrolling through all of my 2023 projects, and as you can see, I think I mentioned this earlier, that I just label everything by the year and the date, and that way it just keeps everything together as far as what I am working on, and I can go by the date. And the only time I don't really use the date is if I am like doing a project from a few years ago, but it's a project I'm working on right now, so sometimes I will keep the date more current. I showed you my YouTube temps, and then I showed you some journaling stickers that I bought from Etsy, and now we are going to work in my journaling quotes folder, which is a hot mess. I recently started on fixing up this folder that has like almost 900 images by dividing things into 4 folders: winter, spring, summer, or fall. And I also decided that I will add in some colors. The only problem is I started labeling these folders, and I quickly realized that if red is going to be the start of the rainbow, then I need to go ahead and do 0, 01 red, and then 0, 02 orange, and so on, all the way to brown black. And that way I have all the colors up at the top, and then I will have the seasons. So I will just take the various images that I have, and these are images that I've found through Google or the Unsplash or Pinterest. And normally I like to credit the person that made them, but a lot of the times I just try to find images that are free to use. I also added in a folder that is themed book, since I'm going to have a ton of those different images. And now I'm just going to walk you through and kind of show you how I organize lots of these different images, and that way hopefully I can use them more and they're more useful for me. I will also have a ton of Morgan Harper Nicholas quotes, because she puts up so many of them and they're just amazing, and so I will just have a million of those. I screenshot those, and there's another one, and I will just decide which color works best or which color is most predominant, and go from there. I'm also going to have a ton of fall and Halloween type images, and I even have this funny summer themed one about kids and their noise level, but I put that in green, and I could also copy and paste it into summer if I wanted to as well. But I just try to go with my first instinct as far as color or theme or season. And I also have a lot of like wallpapers I could use for my phone if I wanted to, but I generally use them for my journal. I even have that 90s poster. I'm going to put that in blue. But this do no harm one, that's one that I'm going to copy and paste into pink and green. So you'll see this is the start of my pink folder, and then I'm going to go into green and copy and paste it. And that's going to be really helpful when I sort things by color. And I do that for pretty much anything that involves colors and it's multiple colors. I'll just copy and paste. Here's another big batch of October spooky type of images, and I just dumped them into the fall folder. And then there was some wallpapers that I sorted as well. So it's just going to be a really fun project fun and tedious project to go through and finally get all of these images sorted. I'm also going to delete the book covers because I don't need those. I just threw them in that folder just to have them sit for a while, I guess you could say. So the next folder I'm going to show you is how I put, or where I put, my collections and pieces from Ashley Horton. I label everything by the designer, so it says for designer and then dash. And Ashley Horton's kits, I go by collection, and then if it's one of those document 365, I put that and then the month. And as far as cut files, I usually just label it by the name of the cut file. The one I'm naming right now in particular is a summer themed cut file. So I put summer and then pool day all day, and that will make the most sense. On the well-read collection, I forgot to relabel that, so I'm going to go ahead and put collection up at the front. That way when I see my folder, all the collections are right where they should be all together. And that makes the most sense for me when I go to grab that folder. And so that is my Ashley Horton folder, and I love it. It keeps everything organized with my little system. In the Awesome Ladies project, I just have the printable for Thursday 3, and that's it. Carrie Bradford, I'm starting to get a bunch of her digital stamps. I have noticed, though, when I extract her digital stamps, they just get dumped into this main folder. It's not in a separate named folder, so I have to do the sorting, which is fine. I can totally do that, but it's a work in progress. For Mandy Ford, I also label by the name of the kit unless it's like season specific, and then I will add in the season in front of it. For Shannon Pages, I have a ton of her templates. I absolutely love them. I usually buy them in one particular size, so when I label them, I do the size and then the name of the templates. Syncopation Design, I only have a few items. Tracy Reed, I have a million things because I was on her design team for a long time, so I am just scrolling through and kind of showing you how I have that organized just by the name of the kit. And now we're going to go up to Allie Edwards and have some fun playing in this folder and sorting some new stuff that I got. I'm starting with the 6x8 floral stamp set, and what I do is once it extracts into a couple different pieces, and it leaves the stamps in its own folder, the PNG format. So I just take that out, put it in the main folder along with the image of the stamp and the CVG. I think that's what it is. And then I relabel it. I go ahead and relabel it as 6x8 floral digital stamp set. Then I will go ahead and put it in my summer section of brushes. And I can also copy and paste this into whatever other folder will work for me. Here's a new travel collection stamp set that I got, and so I want to go ahead and relabel this Travel Collection 2023. Or maybe it was 2021. Either way, I put the year, and that way it has the proper year that it corresponds to, and then I will drag and drop that into the travel collection once I have it all labeled. After that, I have another folder that is the digital subscriber day, and I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put that right now at this point, so I just go ahead and label it with the year and July, I think, and I'm just going to leave it up at the top for now, because like I said, I don't know where I'm going to put it because it's a whole mix of different things. I could possibly put it in stories by the month and also leave a copy in this main folder, but we'll see. So with my Ali Edwards folder, I have everything broken up into categories. I should have said that first, right? So you go into the Ali Edwards folder and you see everything by brushes, day in the life, December daily, week in the life, stories by the month, story kit, travel collection. That way it's broken up into those broader categories. You can see I just broke up the beach stamp set, and this is another stamp set that I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste into 2 different spots. So it will be in the travel collection and also in the brushes summer. When I first started dividing up the brushes, I kind of realized that most of my brushes are season specific, so that made sense for me to divide them up that way, but I do have an overall brushes folder for the rest of the brushes that did not fit into any of the season categories. So I dragged my beach stamp set over to the summer section, and now I'm going to move on to sorting the stories by the month. But I just wanted to show you my day in the life folder, which needs to be relabeled, as I can see as I was working on this video. It does need to be relabeled with the years, but I have all of those kits in one spot. And then another folder that I have painstakingly tediously, a big project was organizing these folders for December daily. Again, breaking things down by the category. So I have album cover art and the alphas, and then the die cuts and chipboard and paper. Any and every category I have put a folder, so that way, it labels it. So that way I know if I'm looking for a journaling card, I go to the journaling card folders. If I'm looking for a stamp set, I go there. If I'm looking for chipboard, I go there. And I will also say that I was fortunate enough to be on the December Daily creative team and also a Ali Edwards ambassador. So I was given a lot of these digital files. So that's why I have so many. And I will say also for the stamp sets, I went a step further with my organization and not only added in the year, but I added in 4x6 or 6x8. To me, I mean, that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but I wanted to just have that distinct difference between the stamp sets. So I have that in there as well. Here I'm showing you the journaling cards that I have, and again, adding in the year makes sense to me. I guess I have a memory of an elephant, but I really can remember which kits had which cards and which themes and colors. And so it's just helpful for me to have those years in there so that way I can see. And going all the way down to the bottom, you can see I even have product play and prep day folders as well. And those are also broken down into different categories as well. I did have to relabel, I think, a reason why. So I relabeled that. But I am so happy with how this folder turned out overall, because it really helps me to stay organized when I'm looking for something with my December daily projects. Because I mentioned in many of my December daily videos, one of my favorite things to have when I'm making this project is a whole pile of different types of die cuts, just digital pieces that I have cut from my digital files. And I just love that. A whole drawer full of die cuts from digital pieces makes me so happy. Next up is stories by the month. I've also been a subscriber for this kit for years, a digital subscriber and physical. And so I labeled the folders by the month, because that makes the most sense since they're monthly themed kits, then the year, then the abbreviation for the month, and then SBTM. And so right now I am relabeling an April Stories by the Month kit. I first clicked into it to make sure I had everything. I did, and then I went ahead and relabeled it. I also had some of these wood veneer pieces that were part of an add-on, and they're like Halloween themed. So I'm going to go ahead and just add those to the October section, even though it's not really a stories by the month, but it will be something I can use specifically in October. I just need to relabel the folder. I also found some Valentine's cards that I need to relabel. I don't know if I'm going to show that right this second, but I do need to relabel it. And I also relabeled a May kit. So that way when I have these kits, they go by year. So they go by month and then the year. And that makes it so easy for me to find exactly what I'm looking for. I did notice that I had 2 digital add-ons for the most recent story kit, Let Go, and so I need to put those into the story kit folder, and I will deal with those in a second. The last thing that I want to take care of in this stories by the month folder is unpacking the September stories by the month kit. When you get the kit and you extract it, you get all of these folders. It looks like 6 folders. I take everything out of the folders and dump it into the main folder. I may have already mentioned this earlier, but it really is important to me to not have everything in subcategories and subcategories. For my brain, it just does not work. So I take the papers, the chipboard, the journaling cards, and I put them all into one main folder. The only exception is usually the digital stamps, and that's only because they're not labeled digital stamp 1, digital stamp 2, or brush 1, brush 2. This would mean that if you dumped them in the main folder, they'd get all mixed up. And I mean, sometimes that's fine, but most of the time let's just leave it in the PNG format folder. And then I'll have everything unpacked and I can see the entire kit. And clicking into the PNG format, you see all the digital stamps. So that way works much better for me. And I just need to add the 9/2023 SEP, meaning the abbreviation, and then SBTM, and that will work for that folder as well. I think I mislabeled the year or something like that, so I went ahead and fixed that, and now my stories by the month kit is all fixed up. So this is the Valentine's cards that I guess I had never labeled, but they are really old. Maybe I just got them recently, but I had them at the bottom of the folder. So I went ahead and labeled them and made sure to include them in the February section. So the last little area that I'm going to work on in this video is my story kits. And I will say that I did not get a chance to share with you the top folder that says story kit categories. I actually started taking my kits, duplicating them and dumping them in that folder so I could break everything up into colors. Crazy, tedious project that barely got started, but that was my thinking. So I have several kits to unpack here, and I thought it would be fun to show you my process. So apparently I already had the Story Kit Explore folder when I went to go relabel. So I went to check that. I do have that folder all ready to go. So I'm going to go back up to the top where everything is unpacked and drag all of those pieces into the labeled folder. I label the folders by Story Kit, and then I do the year and the month and then the name of the kit. So that just makes sense to me. And now I'm going to take each of the pieces of the kit and make sure that they're all in one main folder. This kit is for the most recent story kit, which is called Let Go. And again, everything is in its own separate folder, and I go ahead and take everything out of those separate folders to get it into one main folder. Even the Let Go, like a piece, I get it all in one folder. All these butterflies, get them into one folder. And like I mentioned a while back, I definitely want to get back into making story canvases, and that way it can be more helpful in helping me to tell my stories. And not only that, but just using up the product that I'm getting. I always delete this SVG. I don't need that and I don't use it, so I just get rid of it. And then the digital stamp, I go ahead and leave it in that PNG format. And then when I get the digital stamp download, that's the same piece from the digital kit. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I just double check it and make sure it's the same, and it really is the same. So I just go ahead and delete all of those because I don't need duplicate. I suppose I could put it in the brushes folder from earlier that I showed you, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. So now I'm going to label the kit 2023 08 and then let go, and that will take the kit all the way to the bottom where the most recent kit is. And now I've showed you what it looks like all unpacked, and I'm going to kind of scroll through the Ali Edwards folder, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing how I organize my computer and my hard drive and all my projects. And I have thoroughly enjoyed sharing this with you, and I hope you find some inspiration from it. You can see at the bottom I have completed projects as well, and then of course all my photos on the main hard drive. So I'd love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a wonderful day. Bye.